Let me talk to you about Estes. So I want to talk about Estes company, and this will be an in-depth review. And you want to listen to this from A to Z if you want to be a trucker at the Estes company. And so let me first talk to you about the overview. I want to give you an overview of this company. So if you think about Estes, what should you think about? Well, you have to understand that Estes has been around for more than 90 years, okay? The company was actually founded during the Depression with a Chevy truck. But today, the company has grown into a multi-regional LTL freight hauler. So that's the kind of specialty I want you to think about. LTL, less than truckload, okay? And the cool thing about Estes is that it has a fleet of around 6,500 to 7,000 tractors and 25,000 to 27,000 trailers. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You have so this gives you an idea of the capabilities that the company actually has, and they're growing. They're growing like crazy. Okay, and so right now they operate via a network of 200 to 225 terminals dotting the U.S. service. Okay, and so the U.S. Service area. So that's really good. By the way, they're also in Canada. So this is I would say a multinational player. Okay, so service in Canada is provided by a TST Overland Express, an Express Link partner, and in Mexico through affiliate Almex. So you have a company that's growing. They're in North America big time. They provide LTL services. Let's say what I call full LTL services. So Estes Express works with designated carriers to offer door-to-door delivery in the Caribbean and in Mexico. Subsidiary Estes Forwarding Worldwide Services, actually ocean, air, freight forwarding. So that's really good. Okay, so again, you just don't have a multinational company; you have a global company. At least that's the business model. Okay, and the company is owned and run by the family of founder WW Estes. Okay, but great company to work for, great company to actually call, employment base. So I'm showing you on the screen here. Here is the address. So they are in Richmond, Virginia, and the phone 1-866-378-3748. So if you're considering being a trucker at Estes, I want to talk to you about getting hired at the company. So let's have a conversation about that. So I want to really share with you the minimum hiring qualifications so you can see whether or not you can qualify actually this year. So a high school diploma or a GED, okay, or any combination of education and experience, which would provide an equivalent background. Because see, the thing is, they pay attention to the equivalent background. That's what they really focus on. And you gotta possess a valid Class A CDL, hazmat, tanker, and doubles endorsements required. Okay, LCV requirement may apply. So this is something that you have to pay attention to. 21 years of age. Okay, so you got to be at least 21 years of age, and you got to have 2 years driving experience. Okay, that's what they want. That's at least 2 years. You must be able to drive a tractor trailer for a period of time that will conform to FMCSA requirements and stable employment history preferred. So if you're jumping from one company to another in the last 5 years like that, they don't like it. They like to have the kind of stable employment history. Okay, and you have to be able to operate a forklift, minimum 75,000 pound vehicle, and you must be able to push or pull a loaded pallet jack and or a hand truck with a minimum load of 70 pounds. Okay, and also it's important to understand that your physical abilities must include standing, lifting, twisting, turning, climbing a ladder, etc. You must be able to provide an acceptable MVR. You must be familiar with state, let's say, motor vehicle laws and FMCSA rules and regulations. And you must pass also an FMCSA required medical team, okay? Medical exam, not a team, medical exam. So that's really important. And you must pass also a road test. They will actually they will set up things for you, but I just wanted to give you some guidelines, okay? You must meet the FMCSA requirements to speak and read English. You must be able to comply with all company policies, rules. You must be able to interact well with others, right? It's all about interpersonal skills. You must be able to work independently or in a team setting, right? Because this is teamwork that really goes on big time there. And you must be able to work under tight time constraints. You must pass the pre-employment drug screen. That's really cool. And you must be authorized to work in the U.S. And you must be capable of dropping and hooking, okay, and coupling trailers, which involves cranking, langing gear, pulling a fifth wheel pin, which takes approximately 65 pounds of pressure, and maneuvering a trailer dolly. So those are things you need to be really comfortable doing, especially in the long run. So that's really important. So what about hiring drivers with felonies? Actually, Estes actually hasn't provided no, they have not provided info at this time. Okay, and so Estes does not allow any DUIs. Okay, and in terms of their hiring area, they actually hire from all 48 contiguous states, all the 48 continental states. So they're not actually hiring in Alaska and Hawaii. The minimum age, I've said this before, 21. So it's something to really keep in mind. And the how do I say it? The minimum experience is 12 months. Okay, minimum experience required for Estes, and so that's something to really think about. And what about the driver benefits? Let's talk about that. So you have 401k plan with company match. You have accidental death and dismemberment. You have cell phone reimbursement policies. This is for drivers only. You have college scholarship program awards, so that's really good. The company is really helping its drivers. You have credit union. There's a credit union. You have a dependent care flexible spending account. So your FSA, your dependent care FSA will be taken care of. You have dependent life insurance. That's kind of cool. You have direct deposit. You have healthcare flexible spending account. So if you were to go with Estes, you have a different route in terms of driver benefits. You have health, dental, vision, life insurance. So lots of opportunities there. You have job referral bonus program. You have jury duty leave. So that's kind of cool. You have paid lodging, holidays, vacation, time off. So that's also lots of flexibility. And you have prescription plans. Okay, that's really good. So that's really good because Estes is trying to show you that they care a lot about their employees, and that's what they do in terms of employee benefits. We have safety service awards programs and safe driving bonus program, specific employees only. You have short-term and long-term disability programs, and you also have a workers' compensation. Fantastic. What about the Estes operations here? Well, like I've said before, in terms of the driving opportunities at Estes, driver types include solo and teams, so that gives you some flexibility. In terms of freight types, you're speaking primarily about LTL, okay? And the route types, you have local, regional, OTR, line haul, and of course LTL. So lots of flexibility there. One thing I want to say about the route types is that they actually adapt them to the specific regions where Estes clients are actually are based in. In other words, the routes that they are actually servicing will be based on the kind of commodities they're transporting. Okay, but yeah, you definitely will have to consider local, regional, OTR, line haul, and NTL. And in terms of the operating area of Estes, I think I've said this before. You're looking at the 48 continental states. They're not in Hawaii and Alaska. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, they have chosen to cover those 48 continental states. So they have over 200 company terminals. Okay, really fantastic. And in terms of yearly miles, you can see actually that the company is growing big time because Estes is around 400 to 500 million. Of course, basically, Swift is around 2 billion miles. You have Estes, you have Stevens. 225. You have JBS 61. So Estes is pretty high there. Okay. What about the company policies? If you think about Estes trucking company, what are the policies you need to keep in mind this year if you are trying to grow? If you're trying to really comply with Estes, first of all, you have the rider policy. So Estes does not allow anyone to ride along. Okay, this is something they have actually had for a while because of security reasons. I mean, because of security, but also this is a health concern. I mean, during COVID, they were really enforcing this policy big time. So it is what it is. Okay, so they do not allow anyone to ride along. And in terms of tuition reimbursement, they do not offer tuition reimbursement. Now, in the last 5 years, a lot of drivers were discouraged because Estes was not seen as supporting their development. But Estes actually has a good explanation there. They actually will finance whatever education you are trying to get that is related to your job, that's related to trucking. They're not going to reimburse tuition that you like tuition about a program that has nothing to do with trucking, especially LTL trucking, right? So they have actually adapted their financing to their business model. So they will only finance whatever relates to their business model. So what about pet policies? They do not allow pets. Okay, they do not allow pets. So one thing I want to say here is that Estes is strictly about business. Okay, they mean business, and that's all they care about. And listen, and it has worked for them pretty well, actually. You know, in the last 100 years, nearly, they have been going through so many phases in their business model, and they're still here. They're still standing. So which means what? It means that their business model is pretty solid. Okay. So one thing I want to say here is that if you think about Estes, think about strictly business. And by the way, in terms of the home time options, they allow you to actually go home every night, every weekend. Okay, once a month. So depending upon the road that depending upon the route that you're in. Of course, if you're doing OTR, you're not going to go home every night. So what about the company equipment? So let's talk about that. If you are considering working for Estes this year, what kind of company equipment can you expect to work with? Okay, so let's first talk about the number of trucks. So Estes is having, I think I've said this before, anywhere from 6,500 to 7,000 trucks. Okay, so that's really good because it gives you lots of flexibility. So by comparison, the number of trucks you have with Swift is around 25,000 to 30,000. With Cohen, 2,000. With Grindike, you have about 1,000. Premier, about 1,000. With Salmon, you have 500, and Linden, you have 200. Okay, so that's for the trucks. What about the trailers? So the trailers with Estes, you have about 25,000 trailers. Okay, that's really cool. By comparison, if you have JB Hunt, there are around 87 to 90,000. With XBO, 33,000. Everett, 12,000. Wilson, 2,000. Gypsum, 1,600. Okay, and Wiltrans about 300. So that's still decent if you think about it. In terms of their governed speed, you are around 60 to 70 miles, which is pretty decent too because by comparison, you have Millis 70. Sorry, Millis, you have 70. Carter, you have 68. Melton, you have 65. Lone Star, you have 65. Prime, 62. Schneider, 60. And so that's really something to really think about. Okay. And one thing I love about Estes is that they are really sort of adapting their speed to the FMCSA standards. Okay, nationally, not just in one specific state, but nationally. In terms of the tractor brands, if you are really interested in in the company equipment, the tractor brands include Estes, of course. You have also a PGT. You have a CallArc. You have Willow Trains. You have Swift. Fantastic. You have Dart. You have Schaffer. You have a Trans Am. You have MVT, you have Decker, you have A&R, and you have also Southeastern. So that's really good from a flexibility point of view. So what about the Estes transmission type? So if you think about Estes as a trucking company and you want to drive for them, what kind of transmission types can you imagine? Well, they do have standard transmission types. So you have standards, automatics, and a mix of both. So for standards, you have Covenant, Prime, May, Schaffer, JB Hunt, and SRT. For automatics, you have Millis, Dillon, Maverick, AAA Cooper, Carter, Everett. And for mix of both, you have Darts, Melton, TMC, Wiltrans, XPO, and Jim Palmer. So that gives you a lot of flexibility there. In terms of their APU policy, because they do have an APU policy that they try to enforce, and they've been doing this for many, many decades now. Okay, so basically, for they have trucks equipped with APUs. So the APU equipped, you have Celadon, you have Koch, Martin, Stevens, Carter, and Jim Palmer. Without APUs, you have Covenant, PNS, GNP, PAM. You have also Roll. You have a ODFL, and for a mix of both, you have TMC and KMB. One thing I want to say here is that Estes has been around for 100 years, right? But when the time when you saw their resilience, their solidity, their strength was actually not long ago during COVID. I mean, this company was still riding, was still operating, was still actually delivering goods, was still hauling, when everybody was actually stranded at home, the company was still solid and was still actually hiring truck drivers. So that tells you a lot about their financial solidity. It tells you a lot about their not just their financial solidity, but just their solidity in general, their strength in general. Okay, the ability to be logistically powerful, to be financially powerful, to be operationally powerful tells you a lot about their strength. Tells you a lot about their proven track record. Okay, so that's really good. So before I close to this conversation, let me just say that if you are thinking about driving for a company this year and you love what you heard about Estes, give them a try. Give them a try. Give them a try. I mean, their pay is pretty decent, and also the fact that they operate in all 48 continental states really tells you that you stand a chance to have a job. Just be sure to just be sure to remember that they do not allow anybody to ride along. So if you are going to drive, if you're going to drive for Estes, you're going to be driving by yourself, or you're going to be driving with a team member, but not with a family member. Okay, so this could be it could be a little discouraging for some people. But hey, listen, it is what it is. So, in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about Estes, and so I gave you everything you need to know about the company. So, the company overview, getting hired, the driver benefits, the operations, the company policies, and the company equipment. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.